Well, hey Sophia, how are you doing this morning? I guess
Hi,
I guess afternoon your time.
Hi, Sean. Yeah, we have afternoon. It is like 5 p.m. So,
Well, I want to start this morning by just saying thank you so much for being on the podcast and thank you for your time this morning. I know that we are living in a crazy world right now, and it's a world that has obviously hit very close to you as someone who lives here in Dallas, Texas. I can't even begin to imagine some of the things you've seen, some of the things you've been through over the course of the last week, months. And so, really, my purpose this morning, Sophia, is just to hear your journey. And so I've just got a few questions I'd like to ask you. And please feel free to share anything you'd like to share. If I don't ask a question but it's something you would like to talk about, please do so. This is really about you and what's happening to uh, Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. So why don't we start with just a simple question? Obviously, we see on our media where things are currently. What was life like for you, say, 6 months ago, before the war,
hmm
before all this happened? What were you doing? What did you do for work? Do you live with your family? Give me a little information, a little background on you.
okay. First of all, it's a privilege for me to talk to you, Sean, and
Thank
to
you.
talk to people who will listen us. And my name is Sophia, right? I'm from a small town in Rivne region. It's a northwest of Ukraine, and I was born in that town. My parents still live there. It's on the border with Belarus, with Belarus.
Okay, Belarus.
And yes, and I have four siblings. I'm a baby, the last one, so I have a big family. I'm single, and I repented when I was in a university in Lviv, when I was a student. And then I joined a cru ministry in Lviv as a missionary after finishing my study. Yes,
Wow. So you actually gave your life to Christ when you were in university,
yeah, yes,
and then became a missionary in your own country.
yes, that's right.
I love asking this question to fellow believers. Who introduced you to Christ? How did you learn about the saving power of Christ?
I was repented by my sister, and she was repented by cru ministry 8 years
Okay.
before I do. So when she
Okay.
was a student, she's older, and when she was a student, there was a big ministry, student ministry of Campus Crusade of Christ in her dormitory,
Right.
and they came to her room and shared gospel with her. So then she influenced on me, and that's how I was repented.
Wow. And growing up, I was very familiar with Campus Crusade for Christ, and they did some incredible work in high schools and universities across the United States. I actually got my start in youth ministry as well. I worked for an organization called Teen Mania Ministries. And we did a conference called Acquire the Fire, and much like Campus Crusade, we our goal was to introduce young people to the power of Christ's grace, and so I definitely kindred spirit there. So as a missionary for Cru, what did you do? What was your day to day like?
Yeah, we witness and we grow disciples, help disciples
Okay.
to grow in Christ, and we also have a lot of work, a lot of projects. And the last 5 years, I do ministry in Kyiv, in the capital of Ukraine. So I lived in Kyiv and work with students there. And we really built a great movement of students. We have like 20 volunteers, Christian believers who witness in their universities, and we had small Bible studying groups for unbelievers and English for students. So some Americans came and helped us to they study English with our students. Yeah, we have
Got
a
it.
lot of
Is that
great.
where you learned? Is that where you learned English?
Yes, that's right.
Got it. Wonderful. Well, it sounds like you were doing some amazing work, and obviously, Kyiv is somewhere we're hearing a lot about here in the United States. We're hearing a lot about that on our news. That because that's your capital, right?
Yes, that's right.
And so we've obviously seen a lot of images of coming from there and of your president. And but before we get into all of that, let me take a step back. So let's go back a couple of months ago. When did you and your family kind of know something was going to happen? Was there a moment where you said, "Hmm, this isn't looking good"? Because I don't know about Ukrainians, but here in the United States, we hear Russia talk, a lot of talk, right? And so we kind of are like, yeah, whatever, okay, and so when did you realize, oh, this might be more than talk?
Yeah, that's a great question because no one in Ukraine really believed that will happen.
Hmm.
When I was on the Christmas holidays, we have Christmas holidays on the beginning of January. It's a little
Okay.
bit later than US. So I was at home with my parents and all family gathered together. And my brother, I have the only one brother, and he is a soldier. He's in military.
Hmm.
And I asked him if there would be a war. And he said, "Oh, Sophia, we already have a war for 8 years."
Right.
And because he was in Donbass and in all that hot spots. So, yeah, and I clarified like about the full scale war, not just like a small part of Ukraine.
Right.
And he said that it will be for sure, but no one knows where. It could be tomorrow, or it could be at 5 years. But Putin has a
Hmm.
plan to destroy Ukraine, and it was for me like something new, and I realized that it will happen. And I asked him how can we like prepare for it, and he shared a little like preparation plan about food, about water, cash, documents, and all that stuff. But also our
Wow.
mission talked a lot about this, and because of we have a main office in USA in Orlando, I think that's why they prepared us a lot. And we have an
Hmm.
evacuation plan for emergency evacuation from Kyiv, Kharkiv, Dnipro, Odessa, all eastern cities, because we have in cru Ukraine we have 130 Ukrainians in staff, like missionaries,
Wow.
and that's yeah, and it's only adults, and they have a lot of kids, and we had a plan how to evacuate everyone. So we were prepared, but we didn't really believe that it would happen.
Hmm.
Um, no one in Ukraine uh, didn't know the date, and almost everyone stayed in Kyiv, in Kharkiv, and didn't want to move somewhere before it happened.
It's interesting that you say that because I've heard that now a couple of times from people I've talked with that the first thing is the war started 8 years ago with Crimea, and that really started this concern of Putin's desire for domination of Ukraine and potentially some other countries over there. Um, and then I also have been told the same thing of that people knew that it could happen, but they didn't know exactly when it would happen. So it kind of was yeah, maybe, but then it happened, So what was, if you don't mind me asking, what was the that like when you first experienced the fact that this is happening? This isn't like it could happen or it might happen. This is happening. And what was that like for you?
Yeah, we were scared and in panic, you know. Even when we were prepared, it doesn't help.
Right.
We we still were in panic, and it is the biggest stress I have in my life. When you
Hmm.
are not sure what to do and what will be better, to stay at home or to evacuate or to like where to go and um, how it will look like, what do you need to get with you and others. So um,
Right.
it was good that when it 24th of February, when all that started, I was in Lviv because a week before my sister asked me, she's living in USA in Austin, Texas. So
Oh,
she,
okay.
yeah,
Texan. Yeehaw.
yes, and she asked me to go for a week to Lviv and stay in the western Ukraine because when it will happen, she was scared it will start from Kyiv, and as it was, but no one really believed. And but I listened to my sister, and I go to Texas. Oh, sorry, and I go to Lviv, and I called to my brother and also asked him because he's in military and maybe he knows better what's going on. And he said that it will be safe to stay in Lviv for some time.
Lviv.
And I stayed for
Okay.
a week and nothing happened. And I was really want to go back to Kyiv because my team is there, my students there. But then I have a ticket for Saturday, and then on Thursday it started. And we have, as I told, this evacuation plan. So one of staff calling to me, and then I need to call to three more staff and say that it started. You know, this chain. Because
Kind of
it
a
was
chain of.
night. Yeah, because it was night, we all of us were sleeping, and we start. I heard just a phone call, and the staff girl said that it started, and I realized that it's real, and it was like the craziest morning in my life. You know, in this
Wow.
pajama, then alarms started to, sirens started to noise, and I understood that I need to go into the shelter, but I don't know where is shelter. I wasn't
Wow.
ready for that. And
That's
I go out into the street and see the same people in pajamas running around and trying to find a shelter. And yeah, the best for that time it was to stay at home and wait. So I stayed for a little, called to all my staff team members and asked them to evacuate from Kyiv. So after 2 hours, they were on their way to Lviv. And that's also great that it was fast evacuation and they left Kyiv without problems.
okay. And so, when did you actually make it? So you're in Poland now, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So when did you actually make it to the border, and how did you get from Kyiv to the border there and then crossing the border? What was that like?
It was a hard situation because first 3 days in this stress and panic, I didn't sleep, and my sister just asked me to leave Ukraine because it was stressful and I'm alone, and it's really hard to care about yourself when you have these panic attacks. And
Right.
I tried to find a way how to leave Ukraine, and my sister found a ticket for train, but when I came to the railway station they said that this train will not go to Poland and that we need to wait for another one, and I waited for another one and the same situation, it's not going to Poland. So I just was staying and praying and believe that God will give some opportunity for me. And there was 1,000 of people around, and they were also in panic with kids crying and all this, mess. And I just heard that on the platform number 2 there a small train into Poland, and I tried to go in. I was with one more girl from my church in Kyiv, so I was not alone because we didn't sleep well and it was scared to go in a long way alone. And what happened that this all big amount of people put me into the train and her out from the train.
Oh
So
no.
I was inside and she was outside, and she didn't have opportunity to go in. So yeah, I
Wow.
was in the train and there was a lot of people. I can send you pictures just to understand. It was hard. We stayed for 28 hours in
Wow.
the train and there was no opportunity to sit on the floor because a lot of people, and we seated only one person at a time can sit and then another one, so we changed.
So you kind
Yeah,
of rotate who could sit
rotate,
down.
yes.
Yep. And I have to ask. I hope you don't mind me asking. Did your friend end up making it out, or
um, my friend, she stayed, and she also skipped another. She stayed on the platform and she skipped another one. She didn't get into another train, and only at 6 in the morning, it's the third train that came, she will able to get in. So she's
okay? So she
also
she
moved. Yeah,
she made it out though.
yes,
Is
she
she
made
there
it
with
out.
you in Poland?
Now she moved to Germany because she has relatives there.
Okay, in Germany. Okay. First of all, if you don't mind me asking, where are you at now? Are you? I mean, I know you're in Poland. Are you at a pastor's home? Are you at a church? Or are you? Where are you at currently?
It was a big privilege for me to come to Poland and see how all people um, serving Ukrainians refugees and how they helping a lot. They open their
Mm.
houses, they give everything you need for you and help with everything. And for first 10 days, I stayed in our staff from Poland in their family, and they housing me. And then I lived in a hotel with one more staff because she was with a small baby. She needed help. She has a son. He's 6 months old, and
Mm.
she just needed help because she's alone here. And we stayed together for next 3 weeks and trying to find um, apartments to rent. And also, church helped us to rent an apartment, and mission crew paid for it because it's much um, expensive than Ukrainian prices. So
Right.
it's a big blessing to have Christians around the world who help a lot and care about Ukrainians.
I will say, and I know you'll understand this. One of the to see so many churches and so many nonprofit organizations come together to serve and to help has really meant a lot to me. We work with Serving Him, and we have clinics and churches in Moldova and Romania, and to see these pastors, Pastor Joshua and Pastor Alex and so many other pastors, literally working around the clock to try to welcome as many people as they can in and help them on their journey. And it's really what it is. It's a journey. And so it's been incredible to see, to experience that. And that's one of the reasons I felt so compelled to basically put everything I was doing kind of on hold and tell these stories, because there are so many people, you hear, oftentimes you hear about the negative or the bad, but there are so many people doing good and they're trying to make a difference. Look, here you are being a missionary, right? I mean, you never expected to become Paul or one of the other apostles, or go through
That's right.
the tremendous suffering that you've had to go through. But here you are as a missionary. You've gone through something kind of like that, and now the passion is how do we help? How do we help? So let me ask you that question. Here in the United States, what would you tell people? How can people? I mean, obviously, we would love to send our military in guns ablazing, but none of us have that ability or power to authorize that, except for one person, and he's not necessarily doing that. So, would you tell everyday folk like myself, how can we help? What can we do besides praying, which we're all doing? What else can we do?
You're doing a lot for us, and we are really thankful for that. And I heard a lot of messages and support from everyone whom I know from US and other countries, and that's a big blessing to have such kind of support, not just prayers, but also good words from you. And also, I think about this question because some other people asked me, how can we pray or how can we help or what like real we can do for you, like for all Ukrainians. And of course, the first of all, we want that this war will end. And
Yeah.
we don't really want peace. We want this war will end and the Ukraine will have their borders in a full size, you know.
Right.
We don't really want just peace. And I
You want
understand
your
that,
country.
yeah, and I understand that we need a lot of resources to finish this war and to have a victory. And we need not just resources for army like ammunition, but that's also a good idea to donate or to buy military protection and help our soldiers to not die. But also we need to care about people who are refugees now, who
Hmm.
lived their homes and they do not any jobs now. We need to care about them. So if you have, like I said to everyone who listened me, if you have any opportunity to give some remotely work for Ukrainians or just help to rent them a new apartment or give them some money for food, it will help a lot. If you know just a real Ukrainian, you meet them somewhere, or you can ask your friends if you do not know any Ukrainians, and you can just message and ask, how can I help you? It will help a lot. You know, we just need a support. Sometimes we just need to go and have some coffee or dessert with someone because we do not have friends, because our friends are separated and
Separated.
we stayed alone now.
Wow.
So we just need just a kind heart around us and support. Just ask some Ukrainians, not only how can I pray for you, but also maybe you want to talk, maybe you want to go for a coffee or for a walk. That's my
That's
advice.
no, that's great. And Sophie, you said something there that was so important. Um, I think a lot of times we feel like, okay, we're making a donation to an organization, and if I only I can't afford to give a lot, so I might as well not make a donation. But here you're saying just enough money to be able to go and have a sense of normalcy, a cup of coffee with a friend, or to meet a new friend, or in your case, I'm sure your heart is still to minister and share your faith. And so, you just have a different mission field now. You went from a Ukrainian mission field to a Polish mission field now. So, just to have that opportunity, that really helps what you said there, because I think it'll allow people to see that you don't have to give a lot if you don't have a lot. That's understandable. But But sometimes that $5, $10, $25 donation can really make a difference in someone's life, because it just gives them that one sense of normalcy that they had, 6 months ago. You would go to with your friends and go out for dessert or for coffee or for a quick meal or whatever, and now that's not necessarily the opportunity. So I think that's really, really eye opening. Let me ask you just a couple more questions. And what would you want people to know about Ukrainians? You guys are a strong people. I mean,
Um,
you guys are a strong country. You guys have been through a lot, and when you look really over history, what would you tell people about Ukrainians as a whole?
I'm proud to be Ukrainian and I'm proud for my nation as I'm looking for people who I'm looking on soldiers, all military leaders. I'm looking on all volunteers who helping a lot. I'm proud to be a part of this nation, and I'm proud to help and serve to my people. And Ukrainians are a strong nation. We have a bad history with Russia, and it is not only about this war, but we also had a lot of another conflicts and situations many centuries ago. So
Right.
I'm proud that nothing can kill Ukrainian nation, nothing can destroy us, and all these circumstances just make us stronger and more
Hmm.
powerful. I believe that God
Wow.
gave us a big blessing to have faith and to have hope and to have a big love to our country and to our people. So yeah, I believe that God keeping us in His hands and caring about us, that we are still
Wow.
are.
That Sophia, that is amazing, because as I said at the beginning of our time together, you've experienced something I more than likely will never experience in my life. I live in the center of Texas. Well, and so, yeah, we have our political issues and this, that, and the other, but you guys have seen just some amazing things, and you've stood strong. You've stood strong, and I find that so impressive. And so, yeah, so I is there anything else you want to share? Any stories or anything you would want to share with the listeners here who are tuning in?
One more time, thank you so much for supporting us and thank you for staying with Ukraine. And I want to ask you to help Ukrainians, and to be open to care about not only material things, but also to care about their souls.
If you'd rather not answer it, that's okay. But how's your brother?
Okay, my brother is okay, he's alive,
Okay,
and
good. Praise God.
that's good. We do not really know where he is now because it's like a secret information and he can't share with us, and we don't really can talk with him, so we're just
Mm.
chatting. And the good point is that for Easter, my parents sent a big box of food to them, and they were happy and had a holiday. So I'm happy for that.
Nice, nice. Is your brother a believer? Is he a follower of Christ?
No, no. So yes, if you can pray for him, I will be thankful because in this hard moment, they really need faith and some
Yeah.
hope on.
Well, so what we're really saying is he's not a follower of Christ yet,
Yes,
but it's coming. It's coming.
I am Sophia and I am Ukrainian. Я Софія і я українка.
Hey, Sean here. I want to thank you so much for listening to the interview with Sophia. If you'd like to make a donation towards Sophia, you're welcome to visit our website, seanwin.com. About midway down the page, you're going to see a cru logo. Click on that logo and it'll go directly to her fundraising site. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to share it and give it a like and a follow. And if you wouldn't mind, if you're listening to it on one of your favorite podcast networks, please give it a 5-star review. Thanks so much. Our next podcast will be coming out on Thursday. Talk to you then.